Hey folks, Andrew here. Welcome to day 2 of 30 Days of Comics. I came prepared. I've got a towel to wipe the sweat off my face because good golly is it warm. And I'm gonna sweat. And I record in HD, so you get to watch every single little bead of excremented filth running down my face, you lucky ducks. Oh, why can't it be winter? Anyway, Ghostbusters! I love Ghostbusters! It's my favorite movie of all time! #1. Nothing will ever replace it. The 1984 version. I thought the new one was okay, but I have lots of videos talking about the new one. The original Ghostbusters is my favorite movie of all time. And I am a super duper fan of the franchise. I even love the sequel, Ghostbusters 2. Even though it's really not very good. I still love it. And I love the real Ghostbusters. And, ooh, let me show you something. I have the real Ghostbusters Firehouse DVD set. Can you see it there? Yeah. So these are all the real Ghostbusters DVDs. I have a lot of toys in the closet. Ghostbusters toys. Other toys, too. Yeah. Yeah, you know what kind of toys I'm talking about. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Transformers. Even some Mask. He-Man. But no G.I. Joe. I never really liked G.I. Joe. I appreciated that the action figures were articulated at the elbows and knees, instead of just the shoulders and hips like most action figures, but still never cared for G.I. Joe. Oh well. So, Ghostbusters is available on Comixology Unlimited, and actually a good chunk of it. There are actually several collections, which probably equals about 20, 25 issues, something like that. So I'll read at least the first collection. And interestingly, it's the first collection that's available is like the 4th collection. The most recent unlimited collection that I can access with the unlimited program is like the 4th or 5th collection. So there's plenty of issues prior to where I will start reading. And even if it sucks, I will probably still love it because it's Ghostbusters. And I love Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters. Okay, so I read them all. That was like I think 20 issues or something like that I just read. I read it all. Is it that good? No, it's good. It's pretty good. It's actually like the real Ghostbusters. If you, even as an adult, if you still quite enjoy the real Ghostbusters, the comic series is very much in the vein of that. It's the same sense of pacing and humor. So yeah, if as an adult you still appreciate this, I definitely recommend the comic series. It's really interesting because the comic series takes place in continuity with Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2, and the video game that came out in 2009 or so, which involved a 5th Ghostbuster that they hired on to test their equipment and help them out. So in the game, you play as this 5th nameless Ghostbuster, the Rookie. And by the end of the game, they say, hey, we're opening up a franchise in Chicago. Off you go. And this character, who's still only known as the Rookie, is actually in this series. Where it starts is the Ghostbusters. The main four have gone missing. Oh, I should probably say that the real Ghostbusters cartoon show is kind of in soft continuity. They use a lot of the characters are based on the look of the actors of the films, more so than how they're drawn in this. The equipment, the proton packs, the Ecto-1 is based on the movie. The containment unit is closer to how it appears on the real Ghostbusters show. Also, a lot of the ghosts that show up in the show, even some of the toys, like the haunted human toys, show up in the comics. So you get characters like Sam Hain and the Boogeyman, and a lot of the other ghosts that you would remember from the show showing up in this comic series. Extreme Ghostbusters is not in continuity, but it does borrow a lot of elements from that show. For example, Kylie Griffith is in this show. Is in this comic, I'm sorry. Eduardo shows up at one point, so he's there. And Janine's boyfriend in this game, Richard, Larry, whatever his name is, his design is based on how Egon looks in Extreme Ghostbusters. So the blonde hair with the ponytail. So very interesting, very interesting. Where it starts out is the four main Ghostbusters are gone. They've been kidnapped and stuck in another dimension. But they're still ghosts. So Janine, Kylie, Mel Ortiz, who is an FBI agent who apparently was introduced in earlier issues, and Ron Alexander, who is in prison for stealing the Ghostbusters schematics, building his own proton equipment, and starting up his own rival ghost-busting franchise with some other people who actually show up later in the comic to help out the Ghostbusters. I think they were called the Ghost Smashers. So Walter Peck, who now oversees some organization that oversees paranormal activity and the busting thereof, gathers all these people together to fight ghosts. And in order to sell the mayor on it, I guess, they sell merchandising rights, so they have a manager or publicist who makes them do interviews and photo shoots and gets them new ghost-busting outfits. So Janine, Mel, and Kylie are now in shorts. The same ghost-busting coveralls, but they're shorts. And I was thinking, you know, the coveralls are for slime and stuff like that. You don't want your legs bare. But at least there's actually a reason for the characters to have bare legs, because they're being strong-armed into it. But what I really liked is Janine and Mel come back from their first assignment where they had to chase a ghost through Central Park and crawl through the bushes and stuff, and they're like, look at our legs. Our legs are covered in gashes and scratches. Get us our coveralls back, or I will punch you in the face! And so from then on, they actually wear the regular uniforms. Although the colors vary. They have the tan ones, the dark brown ones, and dark brown ones as in what Peter wears in the show. And also the more purplish gray ones that you saw in Ghostbusters 2. It's a pretty entertaining read. I really liked it, and I do liken it very closely to the real Ghostbusters. Is it as good as the first movie? No, but it's. Are the characters true to the movie? Is the humor exactly the same? No, the humor and characterization is a little bit closer to the animated series, and for me, who loves the animated series, that's totally okay. Although I will say I really liked the big bad that closed out the run that I read, and what it is Tiamat or something. She's the sister of Gozer, And you have Gozer the Destructor, and Gozer's sister Tiamat, I think it was, who is a goddess of chaos. And she is a ton of fun. She doesn't really care so much about destroying the world, she just likes messing with things. I don't think she would destroy the world because then there wouldn't be anything to mess with. And moreover, she's kind of interested in giving Gozer guff for losing to the Ghostbusters. And what happens is they try to figure out a way to beat her, and they can't, but Kylie comes up with the idea. It's like, well, in the old days they had human sacrifices that appeased the gods. And I'm going to spoil this, by the way, so if you want to read it yourself, go. If not, I'm going to spoil this because I think it's kind of neat. So Winston asks Tiamat, he says, do you still do the human sacrifice thing? And she goes, oh, that's been a while since that. Yes. And so he, like, bites a power cable or something like that and dies. And so he's kind of in limbo. And she's like, that's not sacrifice. You know, she doesn't see giving up your own life for the greater good as sacrifice. She thinks you have to give up something that's important to you and live with it. Yeah, she's mean. Winston just married, and I forget her name. She doesn't have much of a character in that. She's rarely there, but he does get married. And so she says, well, if you're not going to choose someone, I'll choose for you. And of course he realizes she's going after his wife. They did get married. So he races to her, and Tiamat, of course, she's a goddess, she's already there. And you read this and you think, oh, they're gonna kill the wife, girlfriend, someone's getting fridged. Not really. What happens is she doesn't kill Winston's wife. She erases Winston. She erases the fact that she ever knew Winston. So, and she erases their marriage and their relationship from the entire world. Even the rest of the Ghostbusters are like, you were married? No one remembers. It doesn't exist. So that's the sacrifice that Tiamat demands of him. And it sticks. They don't rewind that one. But what makes it really interesting is the Ghostbusters immediately believe him. They're not, oh, you've been working too hard, Winston. You've never been married. This person you're... Susan, whatever her name is. You've never dated anyone named Susan. You just get some rest and you feel better. They're all, oh, man. Is that right? Because we have no memory of this. So the goddess erased her from our memories too. Well, that sucks. They all immediately believe him. Even though it's been completely erased from their minds and the world at large. She's still out there doing her thing. She's living her life. Winston was just never a part of it. But maybe she can be again. The Ghostbusters actually, a few months later, kind of organize a meetup, accidental random meetup between the two. So, will they be able to court each other again and redo that relationship? And I don't know if they're doing any more issues. So, but that was an interesting. I think Tiamat, the idea of that character was so strong that it could have worked in one of the movies. Because Gozer was not much of a character, but more of a presence and a force, and interesting enough. Vigo was enough of a character to kind of be interesting. Rowan, the bad guy in the new Ghostbusters movie, is not, I talk about this in my live review, but not developed quite enough. I think the idea was there for Rowan, but needed a bit more development to make him interesting. But Tiamat, I think, is a real interesting character. And that's one thing that the series excelled at, is you got a lot of interesting bad guys in the series, even though there were 22-minute episodes. You remember the Boogeyman, and probably that's the number one for a lot of people, and Sam Hain and others. But yeah, so overall, and again, super Ghostbusters fanboy, so to take my enthusiasm for the series with a grain of salt. But I really enjoyed it. I read all 20 available issues, so I thought it was a fun read. If you like Ghostbusters, especially if you're a fan of the animated series, the real Ghostbusters, I'd recommend checking it out. So, until tomorrow, friends. Later.